Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I made a Faust from Guilty Gear Strive into, obviously, a Little Go minifigure. You saw on the thumbnail, come on. But, this is one of my models that took longer, maybe 5 hours on this one. I think it turned out pretty well, and you know what? Let's just jump right into this. So, Faust. As we know before, he was Dr. Baldhead, so underneath the mask, I wanted to put Dr. Baldhead's face. So what I did is that I got Harry Potter's glasses, and I started making like an old man with the signature Faust red eyes. And I gave him a little tongue, because Dr. Baldhead always had a tongue. And I just wanted to, give him that little funniness. You aren't even going to see it. Like, this is not noticeable. This was just fun for me, really. And even if it was just fun, I didn't like the mouth, so I had to redo it for a second. And I added the wrinkles, because, he is an old man, I believe. And I kept the tongue. And then, yeah, the reason why I did the red eyes is because when I made the mask, I actually wanted a circle through it so you could see the eye. And I'll show you why that didn't work. But now I got like a Minecraft helmet, right? And I thought I could just bring that down to make it a pure, what is it? Rectangular prism, I guess, just for the mask to look more Lego-y. And I had some problems. It was kind of similar to the Chip Zangief hair situation, where I just really didn't know what was going on. But I didn't like lose my mind over it. It just took me a little longer. I got a little more patient with this kind of stuff. But I was just working through, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't. The method that I was doing right now didn't work because when I rendered it, you could see the polygons. What are they? Z fighting. Really annoying, but we eventually do get through it. Just not after a while. A lot of this recording is kind of just me messing with the mask, which is a little annoying, but you know what? Whatever. But yeah, making him was pretty interesting. The mask definitely was the hardest part, I think. I'm really okay with just doing textures and stuff, but modeling is really not my strong suit here. And yeah, I got the camera just to test how it looked, and you could see a lot of Z fighting was going on, so I'm like, okay, I'll try a different way of extruding this down and making it look like a nice rectangle. So I used the mirror modifier just to make my life a little easier, and for some reason that casted a weird black shadow over the helmet, and I couldn't figure out what that was, so I was like, okay, no mirror, we're gonna have to do this single-handedly. So I went through single-handedly, pulled everything down, tried to get that other face to work, but it just wouldn't. I couldn't select that face. I was like, what's going on here? So I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna move on, and then instead I'm just gonna grab the side of it, like that, and just extrude it like that, because the top wasn't doing it, which I thought was pretty smart of me. But I got the mask to that rectangular shape, and then I was gonna try and cut a hole or a cylinder into the mask so you could see his red eye poking through, because that's how the mask works in game, basically. And I was like, oh, that's gonna be a really cool idea. And I realized that the Lego head is way too far down for me to have that eye. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just texture it or whatever. And then I was just working through, getting the actual color. And yeah, that started the whole texture BS. So texturing on this was really annoying because it's a stretched surface. So because it's a stretched surface, what I do on the what I would do in my software, which I'm in right now, would get stretched and it wouldn't match correctly. And also it was rotated. So for this, I actually had to learn how to use UV mapping, and I figured that out at the end. You know how helpful that would have been right now. I don't know why I just didn't try and learn it. I would have saved me so much time. It's unreal. But since I couldn't get that texture to work, I was like, okay, I'll just use a sticker, and you won't be able to even tell that it wasn't a texture blatantly on. But then I realized, oh wait, my shadow's being casted. Can't do that. Okay, so then I tried something different. I once again went in and I got a texture working. I was just going through the shader editor or whatever. And what am I doing right now? I think I was just trying to get the texture to work. Yeah, there we go. Got the texture to work, and then I could draw on it. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet on this and just draw it. So I started drawing on it and tried getting everything aligned again. Once again, it didn't work. This is a very painstaking process, very annoying process. But I just thought that eye looked fine. It was like a little red Lego eye. And then I was like, okay, I'll just make the outline around it. And my friend wanted me to watch a new episode of an anime. So that's why there's a little jump cut. I don't even know if you can notice it at this speed. But yeah. So I was just moving around the eye and stuff. Just trying to see what worked. And it was so annoying. And this eye isn't even the final one. And eventually I was like, oh, okay, I'll do this. I'll make the little spikes around it. Finish this up. And I couldn't get that to work, so I just like, I'm just gonna restart. Maybe I don't even need that stupid red eye that he has. So I just painted it on like this. And honestly, what I got didn't even look too bad. Like, it looked a little cartoony, it looked a little funny. But that was about it. And then I tried to add the bag marks. And for some reason, if you notice, whenever I try and get this texture into Krita, it makes it whiter. It makes it like weirdly white, and it was really annoying. There's me trying to put the text on, figure out why this looked off. Maybe it was because there was a black outline, there was no red eye, I don't know. This just looked off to me, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. And I think I do, yeah, and I was looking at my older model of Faust that I did a very long time ago before I started actually doing this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll see what I did there, because that looked pretty okay. So I made that. I got the bag outlines, and I was trying to replicate that eye that I did, but it wasn't even game accurate, so I don't know what I was doing. So the texture that I ended up with didn't even look that bad, but I realized, or my friend pointed out to me, it looks weird because the bag itself is too flat. It doesn't look like a bag, really. I mean, it looks okay, but it wasn't baggy enough. So I decided, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to figure out how to make this work. So that's the Fortnite boxer skin, which has a box over his head, which is very similar. So I tried maybe just ripping that, but they only had the female version of boxer, which looks completely different, and I couldn't use that model. So I was like, okay, let me cut down all the faces on my model, because there was like over 9,000, and that kind of looks more like a bag, but it wasn't really what I was going for. So I was like, okay, I have an idea. Maybe I'll just do what I did before, because that was easier. So I got like a box thing, and I saw that didn't work either. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I figured out how to decimate it, and I was gonna make this bag kind of flow out and flow out on the bottom and on the top, and be more like skinnier on the inside, like an actual bag, like how Faust's mask actually looks. So this is me figuring that process out, and it was very weird. I don't know. I didn't really like how I was going. I was just trying to figure stuff out. And then eventually, I think I did get it to a point which I liked. And you'll see that in a second. It just took... This mask just was so painful to do. Yeah, right there. I thought the bottom looked good. And I was like, okay, I'll just do that on the top and make it kind of trickle down. And eventually, I got it to look pretty fine. I think that turned out good. And then I just went around smoothing everything out because it was a little too sharp. And I think I got it to a good bag-like state. And I'm pretty proud of it. I definitely could have improved it. But now it was time to tackle the texture problem. Now, once again, I was like, okay, I'm just going to paint it on here. Figure out why this is working. And it looked so much better with the added, the added just effect of the mask, like, spreading in and out. And I was trying to get that eye correct. And oh my god, getting that eye correct was very annoying. I tried adding the text again, it just didn't look too good. So I was like, alright, maybe I'll start to add shadow. The shadow didn't really look too good, so I just added shadow to the bag folds. And just made that outline a little thicker. And then I was like, okay, it's time to make this red eye. Because it's a staple of Faust in Strive. He needs that red eye. And eventually, I finally got it to a good point. And then I moved on to like my favorite part, which is making the torsos and stuff. So as you notice, I'm actually using the avatar bodies because Faust is a very tall dude. So I had to kind of take that into account when I'm going to the legs, which I'll get into later. But I also changed the color of his like shirt to be more game accurate, because the colors that Lego offers wasn't really too, you know, like on the spot. So yeah, I changed that, and then I started working through the the process of making everything. I made his skin tone more zombie-like because this dude is like a rotting corpse, I swear. And I'm gonna slowly add, yeah, more shadow to that. And then I started just replicating what I saw, making his scrub uniform. And at first I made it with that darker version of the color, which kind of just looked like shadow. So I was like, oh, okay, you know what? This doesn't look too good, and I don't know, and I couldn't pin it. Because when I eventually did add shadow, oh, and yeah, I added that little cool blood stain that he has. I thought I did pretty good on that. But when I started adding shadow to these already darker blue spots, they just didn't really pop, or they weren't like, they kind of just blended in because everything was already blue. It was just hard to see what you're looking at. Oh, and then I added the shining texture and made that work. So I decided to outline everything in black, everything prominent on a scrub uniform in black. Fixed up some of the weird stuff, and it looked a lot better in my opinion. Then I went to the back, just made it black as well. Then I added a fold on his shirt, which I thought looked okay. Then I added shadow again, and then I just tidied up some stuff that I didn't really like to make it like more complete. And that's how I got the torso, and then I moved on to the waist. I had to line up the scrub uniform, like the fold that the shirt has. Where the, it's not like a seam, the button, I guess where the buttons would go. I had to line that up. And I also put his little embroidered Faust that he has because, you know, he's a little extra like that. And then I had to get rid of that shine because there was no need for it. And then I moved on to the avatar legs, which are longer. So this was actually kind of weird. And I tried giving him, like, shorted off legs, and then I was going to give him shoes. But I just couldn't figure out the texture, like, mapping on that. I don't know why, it was just like really confusing. And I added like the minuscule detail that he has on his legs. It's really just like a line down, like the seam line. And also I put some shadow on there. But I was trying to figure out where the boot began, where the foot ended. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna make it all blue. Eventually I just made it all blue because it looked okay. And I made it work out. And then I just mirrored that, got it over on the other side. Yep, and then I had to get rid of that shine. Getting rid of that shine wasn't too bad at all. But yeah. Then I was like, oh wait, Faust has a belt with a little syringe on it, so let me make that real quick. So I started working on that, and I don't know why I just didn't like make it a massive belt around both of the legs. That probably would have looked better, but I just didn't really like how this looked anyway. I feel like it would just take away from it, and it would look too like in your face. So I was like, I don't really like this. And before I removed it, I started work on the arms. And since these new avatar arms don't come with a dual molded, I had to get two and then split it in half, then change their colors and join them together. And then I had to mirror it for the other side. And everything went okay. And then I removed that, and it was just like, whatever. He doesn't need it. So then I rigged it all up, and I was noticing that not everything was rigged correctly because, again, these new avatar bodies are a little weird. So I started rigging everything together, and I realized I accidentally joined the hand together, had to restart that, which was a very annoying process, but it was whatever. And then when I came back to reset it, I realized that the texture on the mask was now on the wrong side. Why did it do this? I have no clue. But I was really annoyed about that, and I looked up like so many tutorials, you'll see right now, on how to fix that, and I discovered I'm gonna have to use UV mapping. So this is before I actually discovered it. I was just trying to do whatever worked. I didn't really know what was going on. But eventually I found a tutorial that told me how to use UV mapping. And it was really helpful. UV mapping is great. I'm definitely going to be using that a lot more. Holy cow. And since I had so many vertices on this stupid mask, it was kind of annoying. But I eventually did get lined up. And I got it to a point where I liked. I did have to remake. I couldn't like get it perfect where the eye was where it was before. I don't know why. So I did have to remake the bag folds, but those were really easy anyway. So it doesn't really matter too much. Then I had to mirror the arm again, rig it all up. That was a process. Got it all working. I got the legs rigged together. Thanks Potemkin for teaching me how to do all that. And then I finally, finished the model, and here it is. Here's Faust in a Lego form. Pretty proud of this, and thought it turned out okay. So thank you so much for watching.